Hey, Frank and Arlo. Coming to you today from Gonzales Park, which is in Jack's Beach. And I was out on some errands and I went past this park. Absolutely nobody's in it. And I thought, hey, there's a picnic bench. Let me tell these guys about how I became a stockbroker. Now, you already know that in 1981 I became a police officer, and I worked in the 17th District in South Philadelphia. It's becoming a better neighborhood now, but back then it was a pretty crappy neighborhood, and I'm sure parts of it are still pretty crappy. And then in the mid-'80s, I got transferred to the 92nd District, Fairmount Park, the east side of the Schuylkill River, Fairmount Park, which went from the Parkway at City Hall out past the Art Museum up Kelly Drive. That was the end of my half of the district. And then you had the upper half, which had like Wissahickon Park and I forget the rest of the places that it had, because I didn't get up there that often. But compared to the 17th District, the 92nd District was heaven on earth. We did a lot of crowd events whenever the city of Philadelphia would have a special event. The park was always involved, especially if it was like on the Parkway, we were going to be involved. But we didn't have a lot of crime. There was crime, and I got to be a real cop, but it just was a different mindset that you had when you went to work. You went out there, you actually said hello to people, and it wasn't like constantly just fighting the bad guys. It was also a little more, I don't know the word, maybe leisurely. Well, about this time, I started to get interested in the stock market. I was reading books about the stock market, and I'm really into self-help books. In fact, there used to be a store, I think on Sansom Street, the 1700 blocks of Sansom Street, called the How To Bookstore or the How To Do It Bookstore, something like that. And it was just filled with books about how to do all kinds of things. So I bought books about how to invest in stocks, and I started to take part of my savings and put it into the stock market. I went and found myself a stockbroker at, I forget the name of the place, and it comes back at a later point in this story. Yeah, as I was writing this, and I forgot my notes today, so I'm just winging it, but I couldn't remember the name of this firm, but it was there, I think, on Rittenhouse Square. And he was a nice old man. I'm sure he's dead and gone long before this. And he kind of taught me a little bit about investing in stocks. He didn't take advantage of me and try to get me to bet all my money, so to speak. And I got more and more interested in it, to the point where my patrol car started to look a lot like a small office. I would have I had my police briefcase, and I'd have that on the floor, and it had certain things in it. This is before laptops and all that kind of stuff. But then I had another briefcase that was my stock briefcase, and I'd open that up, especially when I was at lunch, but sometimes if things were slow, especially on last out, which is midnight shift, I'd open that up and I would research. I actually had this little machine. It was a transponder. I think that's what it's called, a transponder. And it gave you the stocks. It was like a ticker tape of the stock market, but it wasn't in real time. It was a 15-minute delay. So I knew what companies were trading 15 minutes after it happened. I knew what price they were trading for, how many shares were changing hands, whether the price was up or down. I knew that stuff, and it was very important to know. And it didn't really matter. I didn't have enough money that I was trading in and out of things minute by minute. I was trying to buy things at the lowest possible point and sell them at the highest possible point. So usually by 15 minutes, I wasn't going to miss much. But I wound up spending more and more time doing this in my police car. And I became infatuated with it. And I said, you know, the problem is I don't have enough money. I want to invest a lot more money, but I only make X amount of dollars as a cop. And I was also, because I'm into how to do it books, I was studying real hard, the how to pass the police test books and courses and things that were available. So I was trying to get ahead, but I realized that I would have to become like the commissioner of police. And I'm not politically correct enough to ever be like a commissioner of police type guy. But I would have to become that guy to have enough money in my mind to make money on Wall Street and be a cop. And I love being a cop, but I really love the thrill of investing in stocks. And I'm going to get into a thing maybe a month from now where I tell you about how I invest. That's not this tape today. That's not this video. So I started one night. I was on patrol, and my van's 27. 27. He didn't like that answer. I'm asking $27,000 for the van, and it's worth it. So I went on patrol one night. I was going down Kelly Drive, and I had all this stuff in my car. I was getting ready to go on lunch, so I was going to sit there and research things. I had, it was either the Wall Street Journal or Investors Business Daily. IBD is my go-to publication to research stocks, and it was from very early in my investing career. But I don't know if that was the one that was there. But it was an investment newspaper that people would know if they were into investing. And this really nice car, I think it was a Beamer, shot past me. Guy looked like maybe he was weaving a little bit. So put the lights on, hit the siren, pulled him over. And I went up to the driver's side window and I said, listen, you were going pretty fast there. I need to see your driver's license, owner's card, and insurance. And the guy said, I can't get a ticket. I said, well, I haven't decided if you're getting a ticket yet, but I don't know why you can't get a ticket. He said, no. If I get a ticket, I'll lose my license. And I said, so you already have points on your license and you're out here driving like this? And he said, no. I don't have any points on my driver's license. I'm going to lose my Series 7 license. And you probably don't know what that is, officer, but I did. That's the license that the Securities and Exchange Commission requires a stockbroker to get in order to sell stocks, contact the public and offer stocks for sale. Now, in the back of my mind, I thought, I know how I could make more money. I could become a stockbroker. Then I'll be involved in the thing that I love, and if I'm good at it, I'll make so much money that I'll be a millionaire. So I said to him, step out of your car, sir. And he went, really, officer? And I thought he was just going to like bribe me or something. And I'm glad that he did. And he said, really, I can't lose my license. I'll lose my job. I'll lose my livelihood. As you can tell from my car, I make a good living. I have a nice house. I messed up. Please let me go. And I said, sir, I want you to get out of your car, and I'm probably not going to lock you up or give you a ticket. I want you to come to my car and see something. And so he got out and was looking at me really weird. And I took him back. And I pointed into the car and I said, do you understand what those things are that are in there? And he said, well, I see the, whatever it was, Wall Street Journal. I see the Wall Street Journal. So you're an investor, because that's really all the Wall Street Journal is about. It's got news articles in it, but it's there for investors. He said, oh, you're an investor, you need some advice. And I said, well, I need some advice, but not investment advice. And he said, what are you talking about? I said, well, I'm passionate about the stock market. See that box there? That's a transmitter, and I get the thing's 15-minute delay. And I went on and told him the whole story about how I come to work and I go out and I still get my job done, but really my mind is on Wall Street. And I said, I want to become a stockbroker. And you are a stockbroker. So I want you to sit in the back seat of my car, and I'm going to sit in the front seat, and you're going to spend maybe 15 minutes telling me what I need to do. And he said, I would love to do that. Got him in the back seat of my car, and to sum it all up, because I don't want to add 15 minutes to this, he said, it's really simple. You have to figure out how to get in the door to talk to the guy who hires you, and that's usually the sales manager. You want him to be blown away at how you figured out to talk to him, because he is going to do everything he can to avoid you, because it's all a game, and it's how you play that game. And if you play it correctly, trust me, you'll not get hired by just one firm, you'll get hired by 3 firms. He said, so that's number 1. Figure out how to get in to talk to the guy. If you just call the front desk and ask to talk to him, he will never return your calls. You have to figure it out. Number 2, when you talk to him, don't take no for an answer. What you want to do is show him that you can't be gotten rid of, that you're such a pest that you're going to stay around until he says yes. And number 3, do that at least 3 firms. You want to get hired by 3 firms and then pit them against each other and see who gives you the best deal. And I went, wow, that's a lot to think about. I thank you very much. And it looks to me like, even if you were a little buzzed before, that's out of your system. And you have a good day. So he gave me his phone number, and he said, if you need any more advice, call me. His name's Kurt Bergmeister. We became friends. I kind of lost contact with him, even though he lived in Fort Lauderdale for part of the time. I lived in Miami. But we just grew in different directions, as they say. He's a very good stockbroker, although I think he eventually left and got into real estate. And I also read books about how to get a job. Like, my favorite back then was What Color Is Your Parachute? And how to sell things, because as you remember, I'm really into how to do it books. And so what I did is I kept studying, and in the I think the book's called How to Sell Anything to Anybody by a guy named Joe Girard. He was a guy who sold cars in Detroit, where half the people back then made cars. It was a tough market to sell cars in. And he became a millionaire selling cars as a salesman. I don't think he ever became like a sales manager or anything. He just kept selling. And he said things like, use interesting ways to get people's attention. Always be advertising yourself and always be closing. From the very first minute of talking to a prospective buyer, try to close them on the sale. Why don't you buy it now? Well, you're not ready? Well, why aren't you ready? And just keep with that approach. So I sat there and I ruminated on all these things. And I said, okay, the only thing that I'm stumped on is how I'm going to get to see the guy who can hire me. And then, boom, a light bulb went off over my head. I have a way to get in to see anybody in Philadelphia just about any time that I want to, unless they have something to hide. And then they go, well, officer, do you have a warrant? And I was thinking that if I used my position, which is totally unethical to do, but hey, I was trying to get a new job anyway, and I thought, let me try this. So I went there. I got a resume together, and I went to see the first guy. His name was Dick Hughes. Dick Hughes was the sales manager at Smith Barney. Smith Barney's where Kurt Bergmeister worked. And I went up to the front desk, and I was scared. And I was in full police uniform. I forget if I was on or off duty, but whichever it was risky to say the least. And I said to the receptionist, who wound up becoming a friend, I can't remember her name now, Italian woman from South Philly. I wound up saying, hi, I'm Officer Clark, and with the Philadelphia Police Department. I'd like to speak to Mr. Hughes, please. And she went, is everything all right? And I said, listen, I really can't discuss it with you. I'd like to see Mr. Hughes if I could. And she said, right away, sir. So she told me to go over and have a seat. And next thing you know, Dick Hughes appeared. You can imagine what he's thinking. Something bad happened in his family. And I said, Mr. Hughes, my name is Frank Clark, and I'm here to give you my resume, and I want you to hire me. And he said, well, why would I ever hire you? And I said, because I want the job that you can give me so much that I'm willing to lose the job that I have now by doing this. And he looked at me, and a little trickle of a smile came over his face, but I knew what was going to come next, no matter what. And he said, I wouldn't hire you if you were the last man in the world. And I said, See that spot over there against the wall? Well, I love to go camping. So let me tell you what you're going to see every time you come to work, because I've already looked at this place. I'm a police officer. I know all the ways in and out of this office. And you have to go past that place over there to get into the office. So if you want to come in the office, you're going to have to go past me. And if you don't believe that I'll do that, try me. And he went, well, I'll tell you what. I'll give you an interview, but I'm not going to hire you. I can tell. You don't have what it takes. So I left there and I was on a roll. I went to Dean Witter. That was a completely different thing. I asked for the sales manager. I didn't know, or I think what I did is called up first and asked who it was. And people do that all the time. They'll call up, hey, who's the sales manager there? And they know it's somebody who's going to try to get a job. So they give you the name. So I asked for the guy. And he came out and he peeked around the corner and went, and I said, Mr. Such-and-so? And he said, yeah. I said, come on out. It's okay. He said, what are you here for? He didn't say it like Dick Hughes was thinking, what happened to my family? He said it like, why are you here after me? What are you here for? So I told him, and he actually gave me an interview on the spot. He said, we'd be very interested in hiring you. And then he gave me like a mentor. It was pretty cool. It was a guy who was a little bit younger than me, and he was telling me, okay, look, let's go over what you wear and how you present yourself. He said, because you have the look and you have the name, Franklin Davis Clark III, you have the name. People want their stockbroker to be named Franklin Davis Clark III. They don't want my name. And his name was like Ed Smith, that kind of a name. They don't want a common name. They don't want a name that's easy to say. They want somebody that sounds like they're wealthy. And so they hired me. And then I went to that firm on Rittenhouse Square, and they didn't hire me. That one, I don't even remember that much about it, but it didn't go well. He didn't turn me in and get fired or anything. But I did decide to take the Smith Barney job. I wound up not being very good at that job. I didn't have the killer instinct that I had getting the job that I needed to close sales to people, because you really have to be killer to close sales. When you're saying to people, I want thousands of dollars of your money, and you may lose a lot of it based on what I'm recommending, but I want you to trust me. They have a lot of questions, and it's very easy for you to sympathize with them and go, okay, I'll call you back, and then you've lost. So I wasn't that good at it, but I've never regretted doing that. And I want to tell you this, never be afraid to dream big and to take risks. To dream big and then throw it all into making your dreams come true. Peace out, guys.